Welcome to the Evolve Podcast. Evolve your body, evolve your mind, evolve your soul, and evolve your tribe. And now it's time to disrupt. And with that, folks, we want to welcome you to another episode of the Evolve Podcast. I am your host, Steve Cutler, and today I want to talk to you about the 3 reasons why most weight loss plans fail. Before we get started, I want to thank you for listening to the Evolve Podcast. You see, the Evolve Podcast is part of our ongoing passion to provide no cost to consumer content that will help you disrupt and evolve into your highest self. Evolve is a coaching and consulting company. And if you are an individual that wants to get into the better shape that you've never been in before, you want to break the cycle of weight loss, you want to stop with the weight loss, weight gain cycle that you're going through, schedule some time with us at evolve-cast.com. We can help you get off that hamster wheel by providing training, nutrition, and accountability to help you evolve into your highest self. The Evolve Podcast and community continues to grow, and I want to thank you, our listeners, for listening. If you haven't yet, can you do me a favor and give us a rating on the app that you're listening to us on? Rating and sharing the podcast is the way that the show grows, and it helps us to achieve our mission. I'd be forever grateful for your ratings and shares. Also, don't forget that you can find the podcast on YouTube, where you can listen to episodes, and you can also see some of our full episodes and get shorts from the podcast. And now, on to the show. You're overweight, you've got more body fat than you want, and you've decided it's time to take charge, and you want to make a change. But you're afraid because you've tried and failed in the past. You have struggled with the difficulty of weight loss, and you're not quite sure if it's going to succeed this time. Well, you see, there are 3 key reasons why weight loss plans fail. And I want to talk to you about all 3 of those today. But if you stay tuned all the way to the end of this short episode, I'm going to give you a bonus reason to help you to avoid the pitfalls of the weight loss conundrum. Let's start with number 1. And number 1 is your mindset. And what do I mean specifically about your mindset? It's that your mindset is you're going to go through your weight loss plan. You're all in, you're 500%. And then you're going to go back to how life is right now. You see, here's the problem with that. If you are overweight, if you are not at your strongest, if you have put body fat on, you don't feel comfortable, the pants don't button up, all of those challenges are there. Well, it's your habits that you previously had that got you into your current state. So the mindset that won't get you to a long-term evolution, a long-term result is this idea that at some point you're going to go back to the way things were before. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to stay in a diet phase for the entirety of your life. You just need to understand that the habits that got you to your weight gain are the same habits that will get you back to your weight gain once you stop dieting. Don't start a weight loss plan by thinking that at some point you'll go back to the way things were before. That's the number 1 reason why people fail to lose weight and keep it off. Number 2 is not understanding that there are 3 key phases to training. Now, these 3 key phases are important for you to remember so you don't have to feel like you always have to be dieting. Remember, there is a weight loss phase. Now, when you're in a weight loss phase, you're doing several things. You might be exercising a little bit more. You may be working on getting your steps up. You might be trying to get more accountability around your overall movement, and you may be eating a little bit less than what you were before. In order to lose weight, you have to be in some sort of caloric deficit. By doing that on a consistent basis, you will lose weight. That means that you can either drop your calories a little bit lower and you can exercise a little bit more. But it's not just calories in, calories out. You have to pay attention to a few other things, which we talked about in one of our other episodes on the science of weight loss, where I break down the keys to losing weight. So make sure you check out that episode if you haven't. I break down the priority principles that you have to pay attention to. Lifestyle is the baseline, caloric restriction is number 2, and then we go up into the macronutrients from there. So understand that a weight loss phase is one of 3 phases. Once you have achieved your weight loss, the key is now to go into the next phase, which is maintenance phase. Maintenance phase is where you go from a caloric deficit to a caloric maintenance. Now, when you go back to a maintenance level of calories, that doesn't mean that you go back to what you were eating before. Think about this for a second, guys. It's very simple, and yet this is one of the biggest mistakes that people make. If you've lost 20 pounds, the resting metabolic rate that you had when you were 20 pounds heavier is not the same resting metabolic rate that you have when you're 20 pounds lighter. You have less tissue in your body. You don't have the same metabolism because you are 20 pounds lighter. Now, yeah, Steve, but what if it's just fat? Fat's not metabolically active. That's ostensibly false. Fat has a metabolic factor to it. You still burn calories with fat. Now, muscle, lean tissue is more metabolically active than fat. And so that's one of the reasons why we recommend that you make sure that your strength training and eating proper protein as you go through any type of weight loss phase and any type of maintenance phase so that you can at least preserve muscle. But understand that when you get to maintenance, maintenance won't be what it was before, especially if you've made a significant change in your body composition. The third phase is a building phase. For some of you, you'd like to build a little bit more muscle, which is an admirable goal for several reasons. Number one, muscle has greater density to it, which means that you can add a pound or two of muscle, and it's not going to make a big difference in terms of how you look other than just shaping your body better. Pound of muscle and a pound of fat are just a pound. The difference is the fat has more volume and the muscle is more dense. And so if you're swapping out by gaining a pound of muscle and you are losing a pound of fat, you will be smaller. You will be more dense, you will be stronger, and you will have a better shape. So if you are going into a building phase, then you need to be increasing your calories and you need to be increasing your protein. You cannot continue to eat at maintenance or in a weight loss phase if you want to be building. So let's recap very quickly before we go on to the third and final reason why you are struggling with your weight loss goals, or 3 reasons why your weight loss plan has failed you in the past. Number 1 is your mindset is off. You want to go back to the habits that got you into the difficult state. The goal here is to evolve and not circle back to the bad habits. Number 2, you don't understand the 3 keys of the 3 key phases of training. I'm having a hard time getting that one out today. Weight loss, maintenance, and building are all different. They have different protocols. They have different ways of eating, and they potentially have different ways of training as well. Now, the third and final reason why your weight loss plan has failed you in the past is because you stop doing and trying something because an old plan didn't work. Now, look, it's not your fault. If you have tried and failed in the past, there's one of 3 things that you're missing. Plans that don't work for one of 3 reasons. And here are the 3 keys. Number 1, training. As I mentioned before, you have to have the right training. If your weight loss plan does not have strength training as a key component to it, then you are going to lose more lean tissue along the way. And every pound of lean tissue or muscle that you lose means you're going to drop your metabolism significantly lower. So think about it like this. You've gone through and you've lost 10 pounds. Let's assume 7 of that is from fat and 3 of that comes from muscle. You did this through dieting. You didn't prioritize protein and you did not prioritize your strength training. Now what happens? Well, if you're like most people, you go back to number 1, which is you go back to the way you were eating before. So because you go back to the way that you're eating before and you're not paying attention to the fact that you are in a different phase with lower weight, you start eating exactly as you did before you started training, which means now you are in a surplus. You don't just put on 10 pounds back. Typically, you will put on 12 to 15 pounds. This happens for several reasons, but one of the most important is if you lost 10 and 7 was from fat, 3 was from muscle, you have decreased your metabolism. And when you gain the muscle, or excuse me, when you gain the weight back, it will be 10 pounds or 12 pounds or 15 pounds of pure fat. The cycle continues until you stop doing the wrong training. So, number one, the keys that you have to focus on with the way that a plan works is you have to train well. Prioritize strength training in particular. The second key to a proper plan is the right nutrition. Now, as I mentioned before, we've gone deeper into this in a few other episodes, so I won't spend too much time here. But the right training plan has to be coupled with the right nutrition plan. There has to be a slight deficit in your caloric intake, and you have to be balancing out your macronutrients, getting in micronutrient dense foods so that you stay healthy along the way is also beneficial. But the nutrition has to be there in order for you to achieve. And the third and final reason why, or the third and final key to any great plan is accountability. Training, nutrition, and accountability. If the previous plans you had did not have all three, then I guarantee you failed. And so if you failed, you have to ask yourself, was it me or was it one of these three? If you didn't train the right way, meaning that your strength training program was paramount and the base of your pyramid of exercise, then you were going to struggle and you will continue to go in this cycle. If your nutrition wasn't correct, then you did not lose weight. If you were clean on those two areas and you missed on the accountability side, then you know what the story is. You didn't achieve the success that you needed. Training, nutrition, and accountability, those are the three keys that you need to have in any training program. So before we get to the final bonus tip, I want to recap one more time. The number one reason why your why your weight loss plan failed you is your mindset and the idea that you were going to go back to wherever you were before. Your old habits got you to where you are. They will not keep you in a lean state in perpetuity. Number two, you're not understanding the three key phases of training. There is a weight loss phase, a maintenance phase, and a building phase. And finally, number three, you stop because an old plan didn't work. If the old plan didn't work, don't give it more power. Just let it be what it was because it probably missed one of these three keys: training, nutrition, or accountability. Now, here's the bonus reason. The bonus reason why your weight loss plan failed you is you were focused on tactics rather than a full solution. I can't tell you how many people will spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on things like supplements, or they hear that great talk by that one person who tells them that if they put this in their coffee in the morning, that it's going to stimulate their fat burning, and that's all they have to do. Tactics will not get you to the result. You need a full solution of training, nutrition, and accountability. Supplements, eating healthy, all of those things are important, but they are all tactics. Recently, I did a consultation with a potential client that I disqualified in my mind within the first 3 to 4 minutes because as we talked about what had tried and failed, and I asked, what is it that you're wanting? They wanted more tactics. This person had every single tactic in the book. They knew everything that was out there. They were on every single supplement. They didn't want training, nutrition, and accountability. They were good. Even though they needed to lose another 30 pounds, they were still good. Well, here's the thing, guys. The bonus reason that you're not losing weight and that your plan is failing you is you're focused on tactics and not the full solution. A full solution includes training, nutrition, and accountability. No supplement, no oil in your coffee, no single tactic will help you to get to your weight loss goals and keep you where you want to be. So there you have it, the 3 reasons and our bonus reason why your weight loss plan is failing you. If you want to learn more, I would highly recommend you jump back in and check out some of our Science of Weight Loss episodes that we have previously released. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And on that note, folks, it is time for us to wrap up another episode of the Evolve Podcast. I want to thank you, our listeners, for joining us for another episode. And as you know, I am Steve Cutler, reminding you that it takes time and consistency to evolve. But first, you have to disrupt. And now it's time for you to get out there and evolve. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Evolve Podcast. Follow us on your favorite podcast app. And if you haven't done so, please give us a rating. As an independent podcast, it really helps us get more reach. This podcast is part of our mission to help millions of people evolve into the best versions of themselves. Please check out our coaching services at evolve-cast.com or pick up some of our Evolve merch. Until next time, keep evolving.